All right, so moving on from that, so we have some new games that just entered the what the no, yeah, the Hall of Fame.
The Video Game Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I skipped over a topic, but we'll go back to that in a little bit. So yeah, new video games going to like the Hall of Fame. What were they?
So the topic, or the games that have been inducted in there is Space Wars, which is by far the old. It's the oldest video game on this specific list, coming out in 1962. It says here the game was developed at Massachusetts Institution of Technology on PDP mini microcomputer and has a distinction of all the inductees of not being a commercial product, but rather an experiment and foundational step for creating and designing interactive entertainment. So I guess that's kind of cool. John Madden's Football is being inducted for its 1990 release on the Sega Genesis after rebooting from the earlier PC title. The game has been inducted for its major success and the way it revolutionized iterative large iterative titles over large amounts of time. Tomb Raider 1996 changed the way people played action adventure titles and helped define how developers use 3D space in a game development. Final Fantasy VII's 1997 released changed the cinematic games were developed. The title brought Japanese RPGs to the mainstream, selling 10 million copies, up from the previous game's 3 million. Characters from the game are commonly recognized and well loved even today. So that's kind of cool. I mean, really all of those games they talked about have been kind of staples in the franchise of how to do things. So
Yeah, there's quite a few other games. Like you have the list with you of the list of Hall of Fames, games that are in the Hall of Fame. I actually pulled it up
that
right now.
yeah yeah
Um, so you have Pac-Man, that was inducted in 2015 along with Pong. They put Halo Combat Evolved into the Hall of Fame, and I think this is really cool. I think this is perfect for developers and like kind of it's a good way to preserve games. Because now
yes
we're all the only people that are really preserving games are people like me, Alpha Megasin, I don't Pat the NES Punk, people like us who just collect games, but like we keep them on the shelf, because I feel like when I get a game, it's part of history. You know what I mean? Of course, I'm gonna play the game. I'm not going after every single game, but I'm going after the ones that I want, and the ones that I want, I make sure they're in super mint condition. Um, and I think this is perfect because there are a lot of games out there that they didn't have many prints. And if you could get some games and just kind of induct them into the Hall of Fame because they achieved something, it could kind of lead to like game developers kind of looking up to those games and see what they did for the gaming market, or what they did for video games. Because a lot of those games that are being inducted into the Hall of Fame, you wouldn't have other games, like Overwatch or anything like that. Because Overwatch, you kind of say that's kind of based off the game style of Halo. Halo's kind of based off the game style of Doom, which is also in the Hall of Fame. It's just kind of
yeah.
this. They feed off of each other and they inspire new games that are just considered to be masterpieces.
I mean, it's interesting because you take Halo and you look at the evolution that Halo was able to do. So you had Doom that kind of started the first person games. Then you had GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64 that kind of revolutionized multiplayer and shooters. And then Halo just kind of came along and showed everybody how you could have shooters online.
Yeah, and not only that, like introduced a freaking amazing couch co-op for campaign. It's legit. You talk about four-player split screen, Halo's always gonna come up in the conversation, where you could sit alongside your friends, family, and you could play the story, experience the story of Halo. It's really cool. And for Final Fantasy VII getting inducted into the Hall of Fame along with Tomb Raider, recently, that's freaking amazing. I'm I can't argue with that. They're really great choices for games.
Yeah. Well,
Talking
I
about
mean, and something else I feel like they didn't mention with Final Fantasy VII there that I think is worth noting is, I mean, Final Fantasy 4 and 6 had really great stories in of themselves, but I really think that was the first time that people realized you could tell this massive story with characters within a game.
yeah, and uh, Final Fantasy VII it improved on that, but it did it in a more cinematic quality that really at the time no one had ever seen. Uh, what was it, like 97 when that game came out? And not only that, everyone has the memories of going through 3 disc video games. You know, that game was so massive that they had to put it on 3 DVD discs, or it was no, it wasn't DVD, it was CDs, right?
Yeah.
It was compact disc. Yeah, 3 compact discs. And oh my god! And not only that, there's a lot of memorable moments. Like every moment in that game was iconic, and no one's forgotten them. So I'm really happy to see that. And Tomb Raider, you have an experience with Tomb Raider?
A little bit. I never actually played the first one. It was is it The Last Revelation, the fourth game I think that I played.
Northern, all right. Yeah, I don't remember because as far as I got with Tomb Raider, I think I got to 3, and 3 was the last one on the PlayStation that I played. Um, but I remember playing the first one, and it was weird because you had seen Mario go to like 3D, you've seen Crash Bandicoot 3D, and then now you could have this one chick that was just, really, she was like kind of the first heroine, you know? That everyone's just like, oh man, you can play as a chick. She holds 2 pistols, dual wielding, fight dinosaurs type stuff, raid tombs. It was it was pretty cool. Yeah, but now it hasn't. What do you call it? Time hasn't treated it well.
Yes,
But
yeah, the controls are pretty
yeah,
pretty horrible.
yeah, and looking back at it, I don't know how he did it, but I do think it deserves a spot. You know, because it did do a lot for a lot of gamers, and yeah, there you go. Hopefully in the future, like, are there any games that you hope to see? Because I can name a few on the top of my head.
Um, I honestly think Skyrim should probably be in there. I mean, just for the fact alone that it kind of revolutionized open world games to begin with. Um, I honestly, I honestly would all. I don't like. That's the thing. I don't know what games have been put in there. I also feel like Metal Gear Solid, if it
Uh,
isn't already on there, should be one that's put in there.
oh, it's
Just
not. This
because,
just started happening a
yeah,
couple of years ago, where they started doing the Hall of Fame
yeah.
stuff.
But
Uh,
Metal Gear Solid should be because it really did pave the way for stealth games.
yeah. Well, I think what recently in Tom Clancy's Wildlands, when they had the Splinter Cell protagonist, I forgot his name already. Um,
Sam Fisher.
yeah, Sam Fisher. He goes in there and he references Snake, and that was really cool that the studio did that.
Yeah,
But he kind of says something that he kind of says that, oh yeah, that guy with the bandana, he retired, but I'm the last of his kind. Like he was the last spy, legit spy. Really, there's no other stealth or spy games out there,
yeah.
and that's the
Because
last
he
thing,
made that reference to Siphon Filter and Metal Gear Solid, so that was interesting.
Yeah. So definitely, I think that Metal Gear paved the way, and it's kind of sad to see it go because there's no other stealth game out there. Um, if you ask me, I do feel that there are going to be some fighting games that are going to enter the Hall of Fame. One specifically, I know Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat have to make it in there.
Street Fighter 2 more
Yeah,
so than anything. I
I
think
think
that
that's what I was
just
meaning. Whenever I talk about
yeah,
Street Fighter, I always mean Street Fighter 2. I've never referenced the first one at all.
and
Um,
I remember watching a video actually about Street Fighter, which I kind of think that over if any fighting game needs to be represented, Street Fighter 2,
yeah,
because Street Fighter was kind of the first game that came in and introduced combos accidentally, because you had people reporting, oh, did you know if you tap this button or this button multiple times, you could do this move, and that kind of started the whole craze of what we know fighting games as today.
yeah. Not only that, but in the arcades, if y'all had one, and you're like, well, in your small town, kids would go to the arcades and they'd beg parents for quarters. It was a money making machine to just fight along
Yeah,
other kids, and that was like tournaments. Kids would love to do tournaments. We'd fight
it
people.
was the past.
Yeah,
It was the past version of loot boxes.
exactly. But it was so cool to see like people just get beaten or like get themselves out of like like sticky situations, or just like how good people could get at Street Fighter 2. I think, and it really raised the competition for Street Fighter 2. Then Street Fighter 3 Alpha came. That one was good. A lot of people know Moment 37, and that's why I'm kind of like maybe Street Fighter 3 Alpha should be in there because of Moment 37. If you don't know what Moment 37 is, I'll have a link in the video description down below. In the Hall of Fame, I think we should mention Ocarina of Time. just real quick.
Definitely that. I was thinking
Uh,
that and Super Mario 64.
yeah, those two games, 3D games, we wouldn't have them really like nothing like this. You know, someone would have done it, but those games they paved the way to like, hey, jump on this bandwagon. You got to start doing 3D games because it really was the way of the future, and those games did it right.